Hello everybody, this is over the Unit 5 test review, and this will be part 2, writing equations of parabolas. This video correlates with our notes from section 5.2, so for more examples or for extra practice, please look back at our website at section 5.2 for those notes. So your goal for this section is to be able to write the equation in this format. We have two possible scenarios that will be written in. And you'll notice they're very similar. The only difference is the x's and the y's are swapped and the h's and k's are swapped. And remember that h and k is always our vertex. So that will be a key point that we'll need to put into our equation. And there is also a formula for the a, and this a is for in both equations. You need to know that 1 divided by 4p, and I'll show you in a second how to find that p, will be our A. Another neat thing to know about the A is that the A is going to be negative if our parabola is pointing in the negative direction. So for example, if our parabola is going to be pointing this way towards the negative numbers, my A will be negative, or my A will be negative if it's this way. The other two directions, it'll be positive. So when we begin this, we need to look at the information that they give us and graph that so we can kind of piece together what our equation is going to be. So, first piece of information they gave me is that the directrix is at y equals 0. So, I'm going to the y-axis at 0, which is right here, and I will draw it where y is equal to 0. If you put in your calculator y equals 0 and hit graph, that's where the line would be. You might have to bold it so you can see it, but that's me. Anytime you have a y equals, it's going to be a horizontal line. X equals, it'll be a vertical line, an up and down line. Another thing that's helpful to know is when you have a directrix that's y equals, you will always use the y equals equation, because that's the one that has the parabolas that are facing upward or downward. If you have a directrix that's x equals, you would use the other equation. The other piece of information they gave us is that the focus is 3, 2. So go ahead and graph that point. Notice my graph is counting by 2, so be careful about that. 3, 2 is right here. So in order to write my equation, I have to have the vertex. The vertex is always halfway between the focus and the directrix. So my vertex must be right here. Since my parabola is going to go away from the directrix and around the focus, I know my parabola is going to be going something like this. So now I have enough information to be able to write my equation. So the format, as we said before, is going to be y equals, since it is a y equals directrix. And this is kind of my framework, and I'm ready to fill in my information. So the first thing I want to find is the h and k, which would be the vertex. So if I look at my vertex here, this point right here is 3, 1 would be where my vertex would be at. So my h is whatever the x part of the vertex is, and my k is whatever the y part of the vertex is. So I'm going to plug in 3. Notice I put a negative because the equation is negative, so it will always change the sign of h when you plug that in. And my k is 1. So I'm going to plug in 1 for k. The last piece of information I need is the a. And so I'm going to use my formula. Let's see, 1 over 4. P is the distance between the focus and the vertex. So between here and here is only 1. You could also look at it between the directrix and the vertex, because it should be the same distance either way. So it is 1. So if I was going to reduce this, it would be 1 over 4 times 1 is 4. So my A is 1 over 4. My A is going to be positive because my parabola is pointing up towards positive numbers, so I know that it's going to be positive. And that would be my equation. To make sure you've got your equation, you could put this into the y equals of your calculator. That works if it's a y equals equation. It doesn't work if it's an x equals. But that's just a way to double check to make sure you got your equation right. Be sure that you only plug in the a, the h, and the k. X and y should always stay in your equation. That's what makes it an equation. And that's all you need to know for this section is practice writing those equations. Make sure you know where the directrix is and the focus. Those are our new words for this section. Remember in your journey in learning math to stay positive, work hard, and make it happen. You're on your way to acing this test.